Lucio low.
There's a Genji right side on Mega.
Well played, dude.
What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Overwatch video. And in this video, we're gonna be breaking down how you can pop off on Genji, just like the man, the myth, the legend, Shadow2k, and the many other Genjis that seem to just be able to pop off consistently no matter what meta, when it seems like you just can't kill anything on Genji. So we're gonna be breaking down Shatter's top 50 gameplay and give you actionable tips and big mistakes that you're making. So make sure you watch into the end, smash that like and subscribe, but go to the Game Leap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced VODs over every single character in the entire game. We got it all on the Game Leap website, so do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now, kicking it off right at the start of this video, I want you to notice what the enemy team does and what type of composition they're playing. The enemy team is playing a Rein, Zarya, Lucio composition. That's their baseline, and this is known as a rush comp. And the idea of this composition is they want to speed in, they want to get their Rein into position using their Zarya. The Zarya is going to build charge off the Rein's going to be able to do damage onto the front line. And a lot of times they're just going to collapse on the enemy. They have a Genji that goes along with that, a Widow that can put value in from the back line, and typically this composition is trying to run you down. Now, it's really important for you to understand what the strengths of every single composition is, and you know the strengths of this composition. It really wants to rush in. So when the enemy does use speed boost and use their bubbles, typically, the best thing that you could possibly be doing is back up and give space. A very common thing you could do is even speed out or just simply back up so that the enemy's entire team would have to push up, putting them out of position. And as you back up and give space, enemies' cooldowns will run out, things like bubbles, things like speed, and that will give you an opportunity to turn the tables on the enemy. Now, Shatter himself will back up, which is what he's supposed to, but because his Rein gets antied, he just simply can't get out, and unfortunately, his Zarya already used her bubble, so she could not cleanse him, meaning that the Rein died. And when the Rein dies, they have to completely disengage and wait for the spawn. You have no more shield, you have no way to fight their frontline pressure. Your Zarya is never going to be able to beat a Rein Zarya, not to mention there's a Widowmaker, so you just need to back up, and the enemy Widow even picks their Widow on the way out. So backing up is the appropriate thing to do, all the way back behind the next natural cover. So when you lose key members of your team, especially your main tank, back all the way up until you're by some sort of natural cover safety. That artificial cover in that Rein shield no longer exists, so you need some sort of physical structure to block you from fire and damage that enemies would literally have to wrap around and lose line of sight of their healers if they wanted to chase you, and that's why they go all the way here to protect them from enemy fire. Now, notice how Shatter is alive here. He valued his life and he lived, and he's gonna wrap along this natural cover, and he's gonna lurk looking for opportunities. Now, he does notice that the enemy Widow is on the right side and shoots. He easily identifies her, finds her, and dashes her very quickly, getting a free kill. This is the pivotal reason why staying alive is so important, because he was able to stop this free Widow peek. Imagine if Shatter was just dead here because he went in with his Rein, didn't back up, didn't play safe enough to live here. Now that Widow could have had a free reign, and if that Widow managed to kill his Widow again or any other support, the fight would have been unwinnable and they would have lost that first point right away. And this is why it's so important, the difference between living and dying here. All he has to do is exist here, look for this opportunity, and contest this Widow that would have been actually very, very difficult to deal with. Now, as a mental note, watch how he duels this Lucio for a millisecond, gets hit by the Venom Mine, and then instant dashes back to that Mega Health Pack. This is because he's always keeping in mind where things are relative to his position, and he's ready to instantly dash there, instantly make the flick required to dash towards a Mega, but you gotta make sure that you have it in the back of your mind. And something he also does here is fishing. A lot of people might be wondering, why didn't he just run away after he got that kill? Well, the thing is, when he's dueling that Lucio, if he does enough damage to that Lucio to the point where he could burst that Lucio down with the dash and some more fire, he could have fished and got that kill and then maybe got 2 kills on the table. And this is something that Shatter does a lot, where he will not completely decide what he does until after he puts in a little bit of damage. He doesn't have to leave right away, and if he does hit some criticals on that Lucio, he can get another free kill, but he always has that Mega ready to go as a way to escape in case he doesn't connect on the Lucio, which he doesn't, and he still gets out safely. Now in this next engagement, main tank back online, notice how he veers off to the off angle on the left of his team. Just because he has Reflect to reflect damage if people focus him, he has a dash to reposition if he ever gets in danger, and he can take a lot of the enemy aggression or aggro, and if they want to focus him, he has counters to these things, plus it takes some focus off his front line. Another thing it does is it prevents the enemy from pushing in too hard onto his main team, because if they push in too hard, he could instantly go on either the tank's backline and burst them down, or the support's backline and burst them down, and that would give him a pivotal opportunity, so they can't just ignore him and push his team very aggressively like they did before, and that kinda is what this type of space, this area he controls, brings to the table. The last thing that it really does here is it gives him an off angle on the enemy team and the enemy shield, and notice when the enemy are in a straight line far away, he's using his primary fire, the straight line shuriken, and when they're a little bit closer, he's using his alternate fire, whatever he has to do to get the maximum amount of damage, building up that blade, because that's how he's going to win the next team fight, and it's very important he builds it up as fast as possible. Now that being said, the enemy is going to get zoned away, but notice how he sees a Genji in his backline, and he literally goes and hunts the enemy Genji down. You see, few on his team can hunt a Genji, and if many characters do it, there are many characters that could try to do it, but if they're not careful, that Genji can just get a pick on them back. Like if an Ana chases him, or a Zen, or a Widow, whoever, that Genji could hypothetically get a kill there, and even get a reset to get out, which would be one of the worst things. Or just the fact that he could kill potentially a Widow, for instance, and then the next regroup, that Widow's not there to challenge the other Widow, that could be a way that they lose the team fight just like that. So it's very important that he puts additional pressure on this Genji as one of the few people that can chase him down without fear of just getting killed out of nowhere. And I see far too often that low-ranking Genjis just are afraid to chase people down or afraid of pressuring people out, and that is never what you should be doing on Genji, especially after you won a team fight. You need to make sure that you clear off anybody that's in your backline or on the high ground. But moving on to this next big fight, this is the fight that Shatter gets a really textbook blade here, and I want you to notice his aggressive positioning after his teammate picks a Widow. A lot of times people stay really passive in their positioning even after a pick, but Shatter often played really far back because he knows the Widow exists. But when the Widow's no longer there, he doesn't have to be afraid of getting shot from a really off angle or a far away place, so he can go take that high ground, and that's exactly what he does. He takes that aggressive high ground. He no longer has to worry about getting sniped, and the enemy is a man down, so his position reflects the game state. And on top of that, the enemies have to respect him, so they back up as well, because they know they can't push past him because he could always just dive in on their backline, and with his mechanics, he could easily probably one-shot a support, and that would be very, very bad. So they're backing up and allowing him to basically alone take this space, which is really, really amazing. Now, another reason that he took this high ground position is that he is primed for a Nano Blade. Remember, as a golden rule for blades in general, high ground is fantastic and is something that you should always have before you start a blade because it gives you options. Not only do you have height already because you typically want to save your jump so that you can jump mid-blade. It gives you a mix-up in the middle of your blade so you don't have to jump prematurely, but being high up gives you a better vantage point of the battlefield. You get to identify your targets a lot easier, and you have more time to make your decision as you're falling, and most of all, it makes it way easier for your Ana to nano you. You see, he dashes up so damn high. Look at how high he dashes up that even a bronze Ana could hit this nano. I mean, he's literally the only target that high up, and he falls all the way down on his target, and he identifies what he's gonna do. He makes sure to slash dash, which is gonna be an insta-kill. That's always an insta-kill at a 200 HP target, but he does make sure that he's gonna end up, after he's done with the slash, near another target. So he gets to get that slash dash, then he gets to clean up on the Ana as well. Now, these are basically free kills and cleanup, and then he gets to peek the spawn because he knows the Widow died prematurely, and he gets to clean her up as well, even making it back to finish off that Rein. Now, this is a textbook blade in play, and it's not hard. That's the truth about nano blades. Nano blades are honestly extremely easy to pull off 99% of the time, and a lot of times you're just going through the motions. But the big things that mess up a lot of blades is getting lost, first of all, not setting it up correctly in the first place, or just making it so you don't get continuous instant value, like you slash dash into a wall and you're never close enough to an enemy to get multiple kills, and you don't get enough kills to win the team fight. These are all very important things that you need to keep track of, and Shatter basically just set it up from the previous engagements to this engagement to just have a really easy textbook blade, and that is just a free team fight right there, and that is an amazing thing to be able to rinse and repeat every single time. but he probably would have never gotten this blade at all if he would have been way too aggressive and fed, because remember, he hasn't died at all since the start of this video, and that is extremely important. He never would have gotten the blade in time to match his Ana if he would have died earlier on in some of these earlier team fights. Now, one thing I want you to really notice about this gameplay is none of what Shatter has done so far has been very mechanically demanding. He's just made very smart decisions, he's positioned himself well, and he's really valued his life, and a lot of that is all what Genji takes. Yes, mechanical skill is amazing, and it's really gonna allow you to get some kills that you wouldn't have gotten, but really learning these fundamentals first and applying them to your games, really no matter what character you are or what role you play, is gonna be the best thing that you could do to set yourself up for success in the future. And I really hope you learned something in this video, and if you did, smash that like and subscribe. But go to the Game Leap website in the links down below for in-depth advanced VODs just like this over every single character in the entire game. Do yourself a favor, go check it out in the links down below. But thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video. That's all I got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and of course, until next time.